Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Bob Walters. This is Locked Up Sports. Thursday in the big bad city, New York City. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember, you could don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube as well as at lockedupsports.net. And like I said, 3 days from Championship Sunday, Commanders, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs for a trip to the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. And it's today, though, we're going to go with the Jets, and the Jets have their man. Yesterday, the Jets hired a head coach. He is a familiar name to Jets fans. You all know him. Aaron Glenn. He is he's most recently the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. And listen, don't look at that game against the Commanders if you're going to judge his defense. He's a good defensive coordinator. Okay, the Lions have had a top 10 defense now for a couple years with him at the helm. He was highly sought after head coach by multiple teams. Yeah, he was basically he's gone through the ranks, which is something that I like. Listen, you don't know how good these coaches are going to be. You have no idea. There are some that are, you look at Buddy Ryan, 85 Bears defensive coordinator, the greatest defense ever. He was one of the best defensive coordinators ever. He goes to the Eagles, no good as a head coach. He just wasn't a good head coach. Goes to the Cardinals, no good as a Cardinals head coach. Some of these guys are, it's a different kind of breed. Some are great coordinators and not good head coaches. Some are great coordinators, great head coaches. Some are not great coordinators, great head coaches. It's just two different animals. It's hard to look at and compare and say that and predict that, okay, this guy did this as a coordinator. I think he's going to do this as a head coach. It doesn't seem to work that way. You'd think it would, but it doesn't. And I'm on the record as saying I wanted Rex. I think the Rex thing would have worked out. I think he wanted the job real bad. It didn't. He was one of the first ones they eliminated, actually. So I'm not sure if he had a bad interview or what happened. But they kind of parted ways from the Rex idea pretty quickly after they had him in for an interview. Now, as far as the Jets, I think I think they did the process the right way. Besides the GM, not hiring the GM first, which I could live with. I'm not going to kill the Jets on that right now because, listen, the Jets have had enough getting piled on here. This is a day that you want to celebrate as a Jets fan, right? You got your guy, you got Aaron Glenn. Most Jets fans are happy with the hire, and we'll see how it goes. They did their due diligence, right? They didn't rush it. It wasn't we want Aaron Glenn and we had him in, we interviewed him, and that was it. They went through the process. They interviewed a lot of people. They interviewed some people who were dying to be the head coach, such as Rex Ryan. They interviewed people who they knew was not going to be the head coach, even if they wanted him, which they did in Mike Vrabel. They interviewed other people. They got a good feel of the whole market as a whole, and in the end, the favorite ended up winning, and that's going to happen sometimes, right? So Aaron Glenn is now the Jets head coach. Now the questions start. He's got to build a staff. That's the first thing a guy has to do as a head coach. He's got to build a staff. And you got to have a good staff that you could trust, because a football team, and you saw it with the Jets this year. With Rex, well, you saw it first with Rex, who concentrated too much on the defense. Saleh concentrated too much on the defense. And a head coach has to run the whole ship. You have to trust your guys to do their part with their section of the team. And one of the most important things that Aaron Glenn's going to do as Jets head coach is over these next couple weeks, bringing in and hiring his team. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. The question's out there, is he going to call the defensive plays? To me, I suggest you don't call the defensive plays. It's just too much. You got a lot going on your plate. You got a lot going on. There's a million things on your plate as a NFL head coach. And I don't think, especially a first-time head coach, really needs to be calling the plays for one side of the ball or the other. I said that I wasn't a fan of them bringing in the hot coordinator, the guy everybody wanted, the new rookie head coach. Listen, I still am not. I think the Jets need the kind of a voice that is respected. Now, I'm not saying he's not respected. He was an excellent player, good defensive coordinator, but somebody who's been there before. And that's kind of why I wanted Rex, but he didn't get the job. Now, the big question, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. And I can't see Aaron Rodgers coming back. I don't think Woody Johnson wants him back. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers really wants to come back. He might not play anymore for anybody. Like he didn't look very good this year. So the word is that Aaron Glenn does like Aaron Rodgers, and he is going to want him back. That decision's not going to be made until they hire a GM, and it looks like Lance Newman is in the driver's seat to get the job as the GM. He knows Glenn. He has a relationship with Glenn. He's been in for 2 interviews now. He worked with Glenn at the Lions before he went to the Commanders as their assistant GM. And the next step is, of course, to become a GM. So it just kind of makes sense. And that's why you see the name Lance Newman all over the place, because it just makes sense that that's who they're going to hire. Now, how does he feel about Rodgers? I have no idea. The press conference is Monday at 1:00. I wouldn't be surprised if they name Newman the GM, right over the weekend or Monday morning, or maybe Tuesday morning. They'll let Aaron Glenn have Monday as his day. Maybe Tuesday you get the announcement for the GM. But now they got to get together. They got to figure out, do you want to have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback? Do they have a better option out there? Me personally, listen, I don't think they need Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. He's just going to be a stopgap for 1 year. And then you're going to have to go get a quarterback. The Jets have torn this thing down, right? They tore it down. They need to build now a foundation. And Aaron Rodgers is not the foundation of anything at this age, at this stage of his career. And the Jets are certainly not a Super Bowl team next year, regardless of what you think. The defense dropped like a stone in water this year. They came in after being the number 3 defense last year. They came in and they were terrible. Holes all over that defense. You got to look at what are you going to do with Sauce Gardner? What happened to Sauce Gardner this year? How do you go from being the best cornerback in the NFL, the rookie of the year, to basically a below average cornerback that's getting beat all over the place? What happened? Why did that happen? Because that doesn't really just happen for no reason. If he has the talent, if you're the rookie, the way he played 2 years ago, he is capable of that because we've seen it. Now, is he that good? Maybe not. Is he this bad? Probably not either. He's probably somewhere in between. Probably an above average. I mean, people were putting gold jackets on him already, comparing him to Revis, which obviously the people jumped the ship a little bit on that one. And you learn real quick when you start comparing these young kids to these all-time greats, you usually are wrong. Because there's a reason why they're all-time greats. There's a reason why Revis has a gold jacket and is one of the best corners ever. Because he did it for a long time. We watched, Sauce Gardner for a year, and we're like, wow, there we go, next Revis. Slow it down a bit. But as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, I don't know. I don't think you want to do it. I think you want to go the draft, maybe not the draft. I don't think you want to trade up into the draft. You can get a quarterback out there that, is decent, still young. Like, look at what the Vikings did with Sam Darnold. Now, they went and got Sam Darnold. He's still young. They didn't draft him. He was still young. He had issues. He was bad with the Jets. He wasn't very good. They saw something in him, and he took them to the playoffs at a 14-3 record. So there are quarterbacks like that out there. And you just got to find them. You got to find the right one. And if you find the right one, whether it be in the draft or like the Vikings did, or if you get him in the draft like the Commanders did, things can change very quickly. Another reason I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back is because you look at Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson he's in the situation that Sauce Gardner was in the year before. Right? They're comparing him. Oh, he's the next this. He's the next thing. He's going to be one of the top receivers. He looks like he's going to be one of the top receivers, and he was one of the top receivers in the last couple of years. But nothing's a guarantee, especially in football. And he's not happy. He doesn't seem to be happy with Rodgers. He doesn't want Rodgers. It's been floated out there that if Rodgers comes back, he's going to ask for a trade. And you can't have that. But you also, this is the problem. This is what Aaron Glenn's going to have to go into this room and figure out. Because you can't have players that, doing that. You can't have Rodgers running the team. You can't have Mike Wilson be like, well, if he's on the team, I'm not on the team. You don't want that. You can have guys who don't like each other in the locker room and play and be perfectly fine on the field playing with each other. There's a million examples of that. Teams winning Super Bowls that absolutely hated each other's guts. It happens, but they deal with it because they go to work and they work with these people and they deal with it and they do their job. You can't have so much power in one position like you do with that, like they did with Aaron Rodgers this year. Aaron Rodgers was running the team since he signed the contract and became a Jet. He was running the team when he was injured on the sideline. He was running the team this year when he was getting coaches fired. You can't have that. That's too much power for a player to have, especially one that underachieved. And I don't think Rodgers is going to like to come back and have just it all stripped away from him and just be the quarterback. Even though that's probably the best thing for him, he doesn't want that. So that's number one. Number one is get your staff together, get your staff around you, a staff you could trust, stuff that you could delegate. It's a big undertaking, an NFL team, when you are the head coach. They work 15, 16 hours a day, just like correctional officers, might I add. They work 15, 16 hours a day. They don't see their families. They're sleeping in the office. They're looking at film 5, 6 days a week. So it's a big deal. And for you to add on to calling plays for this, you don't need anything else added on to that. It's a big enough undertaking as it is. Now, what I do like about Aaron Glenn is he went through the ranks. He started from the bottom. There's not many players out there that after a 14, 15-year career, like he had an excellent career, will go and instead of retiring, they'll go take a personal scouting job like he did for the Jets. It's not a glamorous thing at all. You're in there, you're looking at, you're going to college games nobody wants to go to. You're looking at guys, you're at practice, you're at camps. It's nothing glamorous about being a personal scout, and he was for the Jets, and right after his playing career. Then he went to Cleveland, and he was the defensive backs assistant coach, which is another low-level thing. Learning the trade, looking at film, and because it's different when you're a player. You play, he's a player, he knows what he's doing. It's different. You're the coach now. So he was the assistant to the defensive backs coach in Cleveland for 2 years, where I'm sure he's cutting up film and he's doing the grunt work. Then he went to the Saints and was hired as the secondary coach. Another step up, and he did that for I think 2 years, and then he went and became the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, where he was good, where the team is good, the defense is good, and now he was the next hot thing, and he was going to get a coaching job somewhere, and he went back home with the Jets. If you remember Aaron Glenn, he was one of the better players on those Jets teams. Parcells, I read an article today about how Parcells loves him. And, you got it. If anybody knows what they're doing when it comes to coaching, it's Bill Parcells. And Parcells absolutely loves it. He thinks it's a great hire. He thinks he's going to do a fantastic job. He thinks he's a feisty guy. He thinks the Jets fans are going to love him. Listen, so far it all sounds great. And if they come out next year and they have a winning season and they play better, and maybe make the playoffs, right? Then they're gonna love him. But if he comes out next year and they're 3-14, or they're 5-13, or 5-12, they're not gonna like him. And you have no idea. Look at New England. He was that guy that they've just fired. He was the next hot thing. Everybody wanted him last year. It's a can't miss. 1 year later, gone. Vrabel's in. And it's going to be fun. Hopefully, if Aaron Glenn can have some success here and win some games, it'll be fun watching Vrabel and Aaron Glenn go up against each other, 2 times a year, the Jets and the Patriots. And, hopefully the Jets have a good coach here. Like I said, Bill Parcells loves him. He was a good coordinator. We don't know. You can't really predict. You have to see him do it first. And who knows? Some guys, you're positive that they're going to be terrible. They're great. Some guys, you're positive this is a can't miss, like Mayo in New England. They're terrible. You don't know. So we're going to find out. The press conference is Monday, 1 o'clock, Florham Park. Jets introduce their head coach. Still looking for the GM. I think that's going to come early next week. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Tuesday. You hear they hire this Lance Newman guy from the Commanders. I mean, it just seems to kind of be heading towards that way. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. We got the Conference Championship Sunday, the best single day of football all year. We'll give you everything on those 2 games tomorrow, as well as Saturday. And then we also got the baseball Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame inductees for next year have been announced. We'll go over all that. We'll put that out probably later today or tomorrow. But I just wanted to come on, talk a little bit about Aaron Glenn, the next head coach of the New York Jets. Sorry, Rex, you didn't get the job. So and we'll see. There's still nothing from Rodgers. He told you he was going to take a couple weeks off and go and whatever he does. Because he's a weirdo. Let's be real. Whatever he does and go and have his powwow and then think about it, he'll come up with a decision sooner rather than later, hopefully, for Aaron Glenn so the Jets can move on. So that does it for us here. Don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave us a review. You can leave a voicemail. Tell us what you think about Aaron Glenn. LockedUpSports.net/voicemail. You can always find us anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters. See ya.